رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Bismillah wa billah wa ala barakatillah. We continue inshallah. We're still on Prophet Ibrahim, now we're part 4 of the discussion. Last week we ended it on page 180 and we discussed how Prophet Ibrahim was thrown into the fire and he survived the fire, and that fire was changed into a garden for him, and the garden had it's a blessing from Rabbil Alameen, so it had flowers and blossoms from the 4 seasons within that fire pit. And we mentioned that it wasn't just like an open fire pit, there was walls around it, and it kind of looked like a small fortress that Nimrod needed a special building, him and Azar needed a special building to look inside. And so when they looked inside from that building that they could access, they saw the scene where Prophet Ibrahim was sitting peacefully, calm in the garden with an angelic figure next to him, and they were taken by surprise. And Nimrod himself, he said, wow, how special must Ibrahim be to his God. So he kind of expressed that internal feeling that he has, because what's in the heart often comes out in the tongue. And he expressed that, he truly knows that obviously he's not a God, but nonetheless he expressed that feeling. And now we're up to the part where Prophet Ibrahim has a debate with Nimrod. So despite how everything happened, Nimrod, he regained his composure. He's like, no, I'm still God. So Nimrod was claiming his God. He had the rulership of a majority of the world, and he had a kingdom that was massive, and this got to his head. So when they took Ibrahim alayhi salam from the fire and they took him to the court straight away, Nimrod asked him, he's like, who's your Lord? And Ibrahim replied, my Lord is he who gives life and brings death. So Nimrod is like, oh, okay, if that's the condition, I've got something, right? He thought he's got, so he quickly responded, wa alaykum salam. He quickly responded, he's like, I am he who gives life and brings death. How you know so Nimrod quickly responded, he's like, I'm the one who brings life and takes and brings death. And basically what he did, he had 2 prisoners that were imprisoned, and then he took them out, he killed one of them, and the other one he set him free. He's like, see this person, he was about to die, I gave him life, and this one I took his life. So he started smiling, and all Nimrod's side men were all like, yeah, you got him, you got Ibrahim. And so while everyone's like smiling and giggling, I'm guessing, he kind of fell in for the trap that Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam set. So obviously Prophet Ibrahim could continue, he said, obviously like can respond to him in a manner where he explains to him that's not what life is and etc. But he knows that there's no point, so he went to a different direction instead. So Prophet Ibrahim, he took the bait. He saw Nimrod took the bait, and he said, look, he said, if that's the case, then since God brings the sun from the east, you bring it from the west. So the sun comes from the east, rises from the east and sets in the west. It's like you make it go the other way around. You claim to be God. You demonstrated that this is an action that proves that you're a God. Make the sun come the other way. Now Nimrod was stuck. He couldn't reply to him. So he straight away said, he's like, you are wrong. God doesn't make the sun rise from the east. I do. So Ibrahim could have told him, he would have told him, okay, then if you make it rise from the east, then human, show me that you can do it from the west. At least just one time. If you make it rise from the east every time, one time make it rise from the west. And he couldn't reply. And as a result of that, Nimrod, what did he do? Get out. Kicked him out. He's like, you have to get exiled from my territory. And so they banned Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam, and they were like, we tried killing him, we couldn't kill him. So there's nothing else for us to do except to get him out of our land. So he takes these ideas with him, and he's out of here. We don't have to worry about him anymore. All these dangerous ideas that he has. And so they made a verdict that he has to be expelled, and anyone that comes and supports him. And so Prophet Ibrahim said, look, I'll go, but I'm taking all my livestock with me. So all his animals, he's taking all my possessions, I'm taking them with me. And Nimrod, he wanted to argue with him, and then he's like, wait a minute. I argued with him once, he made fire into a garden. I tried doing this, he called me off guard. Let me just give him what he wants, let me just get him out of here. I don't want to argue with him anymore. Okay, take your goods and go, just leave. And so Prophet Ibrahim left victorious. He left victorious, and as a result of what happened with the fire, and as a result of the debate with Nimrod, he gained a whole bunch of new converts. And so one of the clans that joined Prophet Ibrahim, from that clan, they had the descendants of from their descendants were prophets, such as Prophet Job, Jethro, Balaam, and the son of Bor. So from a certain clan that converted and joined Prophet Ibrahim. Now, once Ibrahim and his followers, they gathered themselves and they all were about to leave, they turned towards the city, and they turned towards the city of Kutha, and they said that we hereby disavow you and whatever you worship, and we have nothing to do with you. Essentially saying, we have nothing to do with you. You're your gods. They're false, and you guys are stuck to that belief, and we believe only in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Essentially, that's what they were saying. They just stopped. If you want to read the detail of it, go to page 182. And then they decided to pack up their stuff and they left. When Ibrahim alayhi salam, they asked Ibrahim alayhi salam, where are you going? He said, I'm immigrating to a place where I can be free to worship God. And he said, He shall guide me, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will guide me. And may He grant me righteous children. This dua was continuously uttered by Prophet Ibrahim. See, because he reached an old age and he still didn't have any children. But he never fell short of having hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He'll bless him with a child. He continues to ask for righteous children. Not just children, but righteous children. And so in response, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him that lasting legacy, and he told him he knows that from his lineage would be Prophet Muhammad. So he had that serenity, as we mentioned in the fire. He was told that from his lineage there will be Prophet Muhammad, and so that calmed him down. Now, Prophet Lut, or at that time he wasn't, I don't think he mentions that he was Prophet yet. Yeah, so Lut said that he'll join him and he'll immigrate with him. And also to a place where he'll be free. And so, and his words were, I shall immigrate with you to a place I can be free to worship God, for God is alone and invincible, the wise. And so because of his devotion to the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his devotion to the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala appointed Lut as a prophet. So that's when Prophet Lut became a prophet. And God began speaking to him through dreams and through his angels, though he was not able to see the angels at this stage. So that's an interesting thing. It shows you there's different levels of prophethood as well. So they went to the land of Levant, which is Sham, where there's Palestine, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, the whole Levant area. And so when they left, Prophet Ibrahim pretty much fulfilled the promise that he made to his uncle, that I will leave to a different area, and he fulfilled that promise. And most of the Prophet Ibrahim's followers, they went their own paths. So not everyone joined Prophet Ibrahim. Prophet Ibrahim went to an area, and then everyone else had the freedom to go wherever they want, wherever they could worship God freely. And so they went to their own destinations. Only one clan who came to believe in him stayed with him. So only one clan decided to stay with him. And then so while he was gone, Nimrod, he had to make up for the embarrassment that he suffered. So he had this final stand, the final thing to show the people that I'm still Nimrod, I'm still the powerful, king. And so he got armed to the teeth. He was ready to fight in a single combat with Abraham's God. And he wanted to verse Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And look at the thought process. He went to the top of the tower, he got a single arrow, and he put a coat of blood on it. Obviously people couldn't see it, but he put a coating of blood on it. Gets up and he shoots it towards the skies, and then the arrow obviously comes down and just shooting it's just the skies. The arrow comes down and the people see there's blood on the arrow, and he's like, I claim that I've killed Abraham's God. And the people, Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. The people were like, oh, he's got blood on the arrow, khalas, they've got their God. So they started cheering and they felt relieved that the king had killed Abraham's God and that life can return back to normal. Look how simple it took. No one thought, they just followed straight away what's being said. Sounds very familiar, doesn't it? Alright. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to show Nimrod khalas. You think you can use that to deceive the people? He sent him one of the smallest insects, smallest flying insects. It's called a gnat. It's got a silent G. It took me a while to figure out how to pronounce it. But G-N-A-T, a gnat. Why is the G? Anyways. They took out the smallest gnat. It's like a small flying insect, right? Goes, enters the nose of Nimrod, enters the brain, and as a result kills him. And he dies like that. The king of the war, the huge king that killed Ibrahim's god, falls to the ground, dead. By a flying insect, taken to the ground. Subhanallah. And there's also a riwayat that indicate from Shaykh al-Tusi and Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, also he takes it from a tradition from Amir al-Mu'mineen, basically saying that after Prophet Ibrahim left and there was no believers left in that town, there was no more reason for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to withhold his wrath on those people. So he sent down his wrath upon these people, and it mentions in a tradition to Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam from Bihar al-Anwar, volume 12, page 37, tradition number 19. It says that on Wednesday their roofs caved in on them from above, pretty much destroying everyone in that town, and they all got killed. So they were given, huh? No,
I think the net that was in his brain,
yeah,
it would irritate him, so he would get someone to actually hit him on the head.
Oh really?
Yeah, so if people kept hitting him on the head to remove him from the pain, and he eventually died from the trauma of the head.
Subhanallah.
So he got a headache.
So one way or another, it was an embarrassing day. Yeah. So after that, Prophet Ibrahim is now gone. The punishment came upon the people of Kutha. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had told Ibrahim that the punishment has been sent on these people. And so Prophet Ibrahim decided that he wanted to go make his way towards the Holy Land with Sarah, his wife, Sarah, and the newly converted clan. So he constructed like a litter, they call it, on top of the camel to house Sarah, his wife. And he made it in a way where she was comfortable inside, and there was a secure door with a lock. And they both felt that she would be safer from the people looking at her, and also from other means of harm that might affect her, and while they were traveling. So along the path, they crossed over Nimrod's land into a territory that was run by an Egyptian king, and this Egyptian king, his name is Arara. Arara. And that king, he had a tax collector that anyone that enters, they take 1/10 of the worth of the possessions that the people come in with. So 1/10 of their possessions, whatever the value is, they'll take it. Now, when Prophet Ibrahim crossed, and Prophet Lut as well, when they crossed, this tax collector, he looked at the litter, and he's saying, you need to open it so I can assess the value of it. Prophet Ibrahim was like, la. He's like, whatever you think of value is in there, just take it. Fill it to the top with value, and I'll give you the worth of that. But I don't want you to open it. The guy's like, no, there's no chance that you can enter. I have rules I have to follow. You have to open it. He's like, just whatever value, increase the value, double the value, whatever it is, I'll give you. I don't want to open it. He's like, you can't. There's no way of entering. And so he was stuck. He had to open it. He opens it, and the guy sees that was Prophet Ibrahim's wife, or he just sees a lady in there, covered as well. And he's like, who's this lady? Why are you covering her like this? Like, why is she hidden inside this box locked? He's like, it's my wife, and I wanted to protect her from the harm. And the guy's like, look, I can't let you in. I have to send word to the king, and then he has to deal with it. And so he's like, why did you imprison her like this? That's what they were saying. So the tax collector sent a notice to the king. He got a response that bring him towards the king. The king wants to see this. So they bring him towards the king. And now the king comes, his name Arara, as we mentioned. He sees, he said that I'm not going to leave the Prophet Ibrahim said, I'm not leaving my wife by herself. But I'm going with her. So they went to the king, and his wife is with him in the litter. And they went towards the king. As they entered the court, again the king's like, I need you to open it. I need to assess what's in there. And Prophet Ibrahim's like saying, no, there's no chance. My wife is in there, and I don't want to open it. And he's arguing. You see that ghira of the man. And obviously there was an encounter. He kept on insisting, and he's like, there's no other way. And then he saw that he's got no choice. He opened the door, and he saw that Sarah was wrapped in a cloak. And the king started getting curious, so he extended his hand to touch her. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he felt that his honor was about to be violated, and he made a dua, oh God, prevent his hand from touching my wife and cousin. And Arara's hand froze. He couldn't extend it nor retract it. Now, this king, look at the difference between him and Nimrod. This king looks at Prophet Ibrahim, he's like, did your Lord do this to me? And Ibrahim regained his composure, he's like, yes, my Lord has honor and he hates sin. And he's the one who's prevented you from committing a sin that you intended to do. Arara started begging him to forgive him. The king of Egypt started begging Prophet Ibrahim, please forgive me. He's like, please ask your God to forgive me and give me my hand back. And if he does, I give you my word, I shall not touch him. SubhanAllah. So Prophet Ibrahim saw his sincerity and he made a dua, Ya Allah, if this man is truthful, then let him retract his hand. And he was able to retract his hand. And now he started looking with amazement at Prophet Ibrahim. He's like, what just happened? You know, at the same, and Prophet Ibrahim he was amazed at Ibrahim's sense of honor as well. The way that he was wanting to protect his wife and the power that he wielded through his God. Through one dua, he throws his hand and he's the king, and he was absolutely amazed as king. So then the king kept his word. He said, rest assured, neither I nor anyone else in the kingdom will harm your wife or touch any of your possessions. Go freely wherever you want. But I do have one wish. I would like your permission to offer your wife, as in Sarah, an Egyptian handmaid who is both beautiful and wise. And when Abraham granted him permission, Arara gifted her the slave named Hajar. So Hajar was gifted as a gift to Sarah. And that's how Sarah came into having that gift. Now Ibrahim thanked Arara and offered him his parting words and wisdom. Then he, Sarah, Hajar and Prophet Lut, they set out with all their belongings and they continued their journey. Now, look at this scene, subhanAllah. Arara started walking a few steps behind Prophet Ibrahim. And he felt dwarfed. This is the king of Egypt. But he felt small walking behind Prophet Ibrahim. It's like, this is man of God. You know, when you sense in front of a true man of God, you feel small. He felt that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then instructed Prophet Ibrahim. He said, stop. Do not walk in front of this king. Walk behind him and show him respect. Do not walk in front and walk behind him and show respect, for he rules over this land. And every land needs a ruler, whether he is good or evil. Now this is interesting. The statement, every land needs a ruler, whether he is good or evil, the good part makes sense, you know. People must, as the hadith mentions, as Amir al-Mu'mineen is attributed to have said in Nahj al-Balagha in Sermon 40, he says that people must have a ruler whether he's good or evil. The reason for a good ruler is clear enough. But the reason for an evil ruler is that he still maintains order and enforces the rule of law. Although it's not the best form, it's still better than that one person has rulership instead of complete anarchy, where anyone follows their own whims and desire. Whereas if one person has rulership, it's just that there's still rule, there's still order. But if there's no rule or order, then it's complete chaos. And that's how the Shaykh explains that part in the footnotes. So Prophet Ibrahim obeyed Allah's command. He told Arara, please go ahead, for God has commanded me to honor you and let you walk ahead of me to show defiance to you, to show deference to you, Rafa. And so Arara was shocked. He's like, God told you that? Prophet Ibrahim's like, yeah. He's like, then I testify that your Lord is kind, forbearing and generous, and you have convinced me to follow your religion. He submitted. And look at the difference between this person and Nimrod. Nimrod had all the signs in front of him. Yeah, he takes an arrow and tries shooting God and tricks the people. Whereas this person, yeah, you can tell that he had that. Obviously, they had that guidance in his heart, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided him. At the end of the day, none can guide except who Allah wants. None can be guided except for who Allah wants. Anyway, so he bid farewell to him and the Prophet Ibrahim, and then they continued. The next part in page 187, it mentions that the garments that were invented. Basically, back in that time, it wasn't custom for men to wear undergarments, and Prophet Ibrahim was from the first to sew the first undergarment. It was a shortened pants, and he wore it under his robe. And he was also the first to tie a piece of tough leather Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Ibrahim how to tie a piece of tough leather with thongs to his foot and ankle, and he became the first person to ever wear shoes. So up until that time there was no shoes. But he mentioned that he tied a tough leather to thongs. So I'm guessing there's a difference. I'm not really sure, unless I'm being very picky. But either they had like a sandal of some sort, but they didn't have a proper shoe that was covered, or that there was no shoes. I'm not sure how to take that. I'll let you guys explore. I think that's good enough. We'll continue the rest next week. It's still, Prophet Ibrahim section is quite good. It's quite long. Yeah, it goes on for a fair bit. Yeah, up to here it just talks about where they stayed, and then how Prophet Lut was sent to Sodom, and how Prophet Ibrahim then became the friend of God, and how he was announced that he was a friend of God. I think we'll leave that for next week. Instead, I do want to discuss the issue that we're facing today with the Palestine and the occupied state. We'll just have a discussion on that, inshallah. But we'll end this part about Prophet Ibrahim ببركة الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد